All right. We are back once again with the ill behavior. This is the ill Bill, and welcome to the Chill with Bill show. Hey, we're gonna get right back into it. Candace Owens, Destiny. They get on the education topic. Let's get it.
What do you think for when you look at Black community stuff specifically? What would you think are the big like 2 or 3 things that the Black community in the United States needs to do to kind of save itself from the whole of fatherless children and welfare consumption and abortion and everything else that they're kind of stuck in right now?
Well, the first thing I think is to educate yourself about where it's all coming from. I think Black Americans need to be educated on Black history, not in the Democrat textbook way, but in the real way of understanding where all these initiatives came from, because a lot of times Black Americans are asking the government to solve what the government created, which welfare programs obviously destroyed the Black family, and it was the intention of Lyndon Baines Johnson to do that because he was an avowed racist and spent decades in the Senate voting against every measure to give Black Americans any measure of freedom until he was basically forced with a figurative bullet to his head to sign the Civil Rights Act. To restore some calm nationally. So I think, first of all, everything begins with education, and I think that people that are nefarious understand that, which is why the 70% illiteracy rate that we're seeing across inner city communities is in my opinion by design. 40% of students now can't pass the literacy exam, excluding Black America.
When we say by design, who would want that?
People that want to control you. There's a reason why when we had slave codes, slaves weren't allowed to learn how to read. When you're not educated, anything I tell you becomes your reality.
I can understand that, but slaves worked and did stuff, right?
Yeah, so do Americans. Every day we go to work and our money gets sent overseas.
But they have to be literate to go to work, right? I feel like illiterate Black people that are doing gang violence probably aren't serving any system very well now.
You are, because you keep voting in the people that are taking more power from you, right?
Do you think those people are voting much, the Black gangbangers and stuff?
I think, yes, Black people do vote, and it's not just...
Hold on. To be very clear, I didn't say Black people, because I don't think that all Black people are like this. I'm saying that specifically the ones that are illiterate, involved in gang violence, and are unemployed. Do you think that they're out there voting in a meaningful way that's changing the political landscape of the United States? Are they having a meaningful impact on the electoral system?
Yeah, so even if people are fully illiterate, they will vote if they have an emotional reason to vote, which is what the Democrats very much understand. I want to correct my language there and say, because I think it's uniparty at this point, that they will continue to vote emotionally. So when you see something like, Black people rioting and looting in the streets because of what happened to George Floyd, what you are dealing with is people that are being intentionally misinformed about circumstances so that they are emotionally reactive. Because I have children. I have a 3-year-old. I know what it means to be ignorant. My child can't read. He is emotionally reactive. And if you can turn an entire population into an emotionally reactive toddler that has no facts or no understanding of history, you can make them do whatever it is that you want them to do. So
I guess it's interesting because it feels like the most mind controlled people in America are actually young white college kids. And those guys have lots of literacy and lots of education. So I don't know why we wouldn't send Black people into the colleges and turn them woke instead of...
Actually, no. But that's actually interesting. I'm glad you brought up college, because if you look factually speaking, Americans are getting dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber, and yet we have never handed out more degrees, which is interesting.
What do you mean when you say Americans are getting dumber? What do you mean?
What I mean, talking about in terms of...
He knows what this means. We see this on TV every day. We see it on social media, on YouTube, PhDs, bachelor degrees, associate degrees, master degree, it don't matter. And these people be coming up with the weirdest stuff, man. I don't even know how. Oh man, it's so bad. Some of the videos I've watched where they go, the street interviews, just going up to random people, you know what I mean, and they don't know what, basic math or history, nothing.
Passing tests, passing exams, the literacy level in America, everything is actually going down. And SAT scores, everything is going down. And which is why they're now let's just abolish the SAT. This sort of a thing that
which I think they've gotten rid of and brought back in some places. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know if the same people getting illiterate are the same people that are going to college and getting degrees.
Yeah, we're handing out degrees, and yet people think they're educated when actually they're just brainwashed bots, and they're quite stupid. They are stupid, and that's the magic of a college degree, is that it makes people think that they're smart, right? And it's astonishing. You really should examine that, how every decade within America, people are getting dumber and dumber and dumber. And one of the things that my colleague Matt Walsh did, which is really incredible, is he read a letter that was written by a civil rights soldier who's 17 years old or 18 years old, had no education, and it sounded like poetry, unbelievable the way people used to be able to speak and write before we created the Department of Education, which in my view, it is there just to exist to turn you into a mindless bot that will serve the government's interests.
I mean, we can say that, but the reality is aside from the cultural thing, on the economic side, America has like one of the most productive workforces, maybe the most productive workforce in the world.
When you say productive workforce, what do you mean by that?
Productive in an economic sense is how many...
The pharaohs used to have a productive workforce too.
how many like units of things are produced by 1 hour of labor from a U.S. worker. And I'm pretty sure U.S. worker productivity is higher than it ever has been. I think that continues to climb. It's one of the biggest complaints about lack of increase of wage growth, for instance, is that wage growth doesn't seem to have tracked to the massive increase of productivity of the average American worker or the median American worker. I just think that like if you wanted to control, it just seems strange that we've got two completely and totally diametrically opposed ways of controlling society. One is to make black people specifically, I guess, illiterate so that they are easier to manipulate, even though I seriously doubt these people even vote that much. And then the other is to make people the most literate by sending them to college and have them read.
They're not the most literate. That's what I'm telling you. They are not the most literate.
You think people that graduate with college degrees can't read well?
Yeah, what I'm telling you is yes. That's what I'm telling you. They're not the most literate.
What would I look up to verify that if I wanted to see like...
You got to do the research in your own time.
I have done the research.
Okay, I'm happy
to... That's just not true.
What do you mean it's not true?
Just what I said. As an owner of a college degree, median wage compared to that person is
just because you own you can go to college for 4 years and spend $100,000 getting a degree in gender studies. Please do not tell me that you believe that person is educated
First of all,
or highly literate.
More than half of degrees awarded are awarded for STEM-related things, number one. Number two, $100,000 is a way over the average for paying for any degree.
Well, that's what I paid. So I'm just...
What did you go to school for?
The average... As far as I'm concerned, you can look this up, but if you are going to school, you're probably spending in America about $30,000 a year, minimally if you're out of state.
Isn't the average amount of...
Just look it up. You got Google, right? What state are we in? What state are we in? Miami? Let's go to look up University of Florida. Pardon. What state are we in? Florida?
Yeah.
Go to University of Florida out of tuition rates. What do you mean? $100,000 sounds about right.
Yeah, but we're looking at this is for
$28,659 out of state.
Correct.
$30,000.
Yep. So this is the out of state tuition.
Yes, that's what I just said.
Number two, hold on. This is the sticker price.
Said.
Nobody pays this for school. You've got Pell Grants. You've got different types of student aids. You've got tons of different scholarship initiatives. Very, 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 very few people actually pay.
I'm right, but you're trying to make me wrong.
Well,
so
no,
I paid that price.
Right. No, what I'm saying is
that price. So I paid back my loan. So you're not going to convince me that very few people are paying this. My sisters paid that price and they paid back. So you're just saying and yes, granted my school was more expensive. It was I think $35,000. There you go. The average $29,000.
So if we look at the
you can just say you were right, Candace.
So 51%.
You're not going to get hurt.
So 51% of bachelor's degree students graduate with an average of $29,400 in student loan debt. Right? So that's only 51% of people, I guess, that acquire debt, and then their average debt is about $29,400.
Are you? I don't get what the point is of you doing this.
The point
are you trying to say?
The point I'm saying is that one, the sticker price for an out-of-state tuition school is not what I would use as the median price you need to pay for a 4-year degree. Number one. Number two, very few people actually pay.
We didn't talk about that because I said this is the median price. I said it is utterly absurd that people are spending $100,000 to come out with a degree. We weren't talking about. We weren't debating the median price.
Sure, but number one, you're going for out-of-state. If I'm in-state, my tuition is $6,400.
I literally said out-of-state. I actually said out-of-state.
Yeah, but why do I care about that number?
I don't get where you're going. The point of when we started this conversation, I was just saying that there are individuals that are going to school that are spending $100,000, right?
I don't know what that has to do with anything.
In gender studies.
Yeah, but we're talking about, I'm sure, and I could probably find people with $1 million student loan debt. They got an even dumber degree than gender studies and basketball or whatever. But in general, that's not the cost of a college degree. And in general, college degrees confer huge wage premiums under the...
See, and this is what I'm talking about. He keeps moving the goalpost, right? And changing the subject. You guys aren't talking about the cost of college. That wasn't even close to the conversation prior to 15 seconds ago. What she was saying, the whole conversation was about college kids and in general, people, the American, are getting dumber and dumber and dumber every decade, right? And what she's saying is that there are highly illiterate, there are illiterate people with college degrees. And she said it doesn't make no sense that you can pay $100,000 to go to this school and you can come out with a degree in underwater basket weaving or gender studies or whatever, right? These are people that are not educated, but they've spent a bunch of money and they have a college degree. Stop moving the goalposts. like this is what he does when he is completely destroyed and has no recourse for the argument. Is he just changes the subject, and he gets hella like aggressive and talks hella fast about it as if somebody's not going to know.
The people that earn them, these are like,
no, they don't, and that is the reason why you have so many young women that are, and this is why, I think that what you actually do here is harmful. And I'm gonna tell you.
Okay, let me finish my thing real quick. Hold on, I'm sorry, because I've done a lot of research on college degrees and a lot of research on education, and every single thing that you're saying sounds really good on like a culture war perspective. But when you look at an actual economic perspective, when you look at actual firms that hire people, and when you look at the actual median wages given to people that even have some college education, all of it is me going to school. All of it, that's great for you, but for the average American, that's just not true. None of these numbers are found on average. You will never find data that supports the idea that high school earners on average are out-earning college degree earners, or that 90% of people are going to school for basket weaving.
Do not listen.
Why would you go to trade school?
See. So my experience is anecdotal. It's just mine. I know a lot of people. Again, I've lived in a lot of places and a lot of people. I know tons of people with college educations and degrees, right? College education and degrees. And I say that because I know a lot of people who went to college and didn't finish and didn't get degrees, and I also know a lot of people who got degrees, right? And most of the people who've gone to college and gotten degrees don't use them, or are not using them in the field that they study for. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, if you get a degree in biology and you become a teacher, are you using the degree you know what I mean? Like, especially if you're not teaching, the curriculum or, that involves the degree that you have, right? Like, so, I can't agree with what he's saying. Like, and I'm trying to see it from his point, right? Like, cause I of course want to think that if you go to college that you can come out and you can earn more money, but to sit there and say, not go to trades, that is the biggest BS that they feed you. It's like an electrician, a plumber, construction worker, mechanic. Like, these are not sexy jobs, right? Like, you're not going to be posted on billboards. You know what I mean? You're not going to be the sexiest pick, you know what I mean? The most traveled, whatever, blah, 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 because you're going to be working, but you're going to make money. You're going to make bank. I remember, I might have already told this story, I'm not sure, but I went to go buy these dogs for my mom, right? And she was getting some Maltese, and purebred Maltese, little white yappers, right? And she was going to get one. And so I found somebody selling, dogs, purebreds online. And I told her, the price was all right. It was like 1,000 or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but, I told her about the dog, or the guy selling the dogs and whatnot. And so she called and, sounded good. So she's like, hey, can you go down there and pick one up for me? So I said, yeah, of course. So, they only had one left. And so I drove down there with my daughter, and no. Sorry, that's not what happened. So she called and she said they only had one left. And so she sent, my stepdad down there to go get the first one. Right. And he went down there and met these people, bought the dog, and drove back. And on the way back, because he was down there, he was like telling them, hey, if you happen to, next time you have another litter or whatever, if you have one, an extra one, we'd like to get that one too, right? Because he actually wanted two once he saw the pups. And so he's driving back, and he's about halfway home, and they call and they say, hey, somebody backed out, or, basically they probably didn't want to wait for the person no more. They were like, these people got money, you know what I mean? Whatever. So she's like, somebody backed out. Do you want this other dog? And so my mom called me and said, hey, can you go down and get it? And I said, yes, I'll go down tomorrow. So me and my daughter went down and got this dog. These people, they were older, and, it was a husband and a wife, and they're probably 80, late 70s, early 80s, something like that. And when I pull up to the house, first you make a right onto what I think is the property grounds, like driveway. It's like their own street, but it's one road. And there's acres and acres and acres of cleared property on both sides, right? Fenced in, cleared property on both sides. And you drive down this long ass driveway, I guess is what it is, but it's long. It's like a city block or longer, 2 city blocks. And when you get to the end, on the left-hand side, there's a bunch of pole barns and all these like brand new Mercedes-Benz vans that have like never been used, basically lined up. You know, electric vans, right? Like I'm talking about electrical, like they not electric as in battery powered, but like for electric company, right? And then there was like 3 big old pole barns, and then to the right was this giant house, and it looked like it was 3 stories, right? And it's kind of log cabin, kind of brick, mainly expensive, you know, huge wraparound porches and all this stuff, you know. And so I go walking up, and there's a couple cars out front, modest. I don't remember what they were, nothing crazy. And so I go walking up, and they open the door, and the door is huge. It's 3-5 thumb, you know what I mean? Just huge door, right? And I'm 6'2". And so they open this door, and it's this little old lady and her husband, you know, he's all small. And they're like, oh, come in. And the house is 1 story. It's just got giant ceilings, like wood cabin style log ceiling that are so high. I was just like, what is going on? And so we walk in, and we get to talking to him, and the guy's an electrician his whole life and started his own company, and then, you know, he retired, right? And, you know, whatever, the company just operates, and he's just Scrooge McDuck rich, you know, and him and his wife just breed dogs now, right? The trades pay: electrician, plumber, HVAC, any kind of construction guy, you know what I mean? Like, they say that over half of the people driving trucks are millionaires, right? Like like when you look at brand new big trucks, you know what I'm saying? It's something like or maybe it's half of millionaires drive trucks. I think it's like 50% of all millionaires drive trucks is what I heard, right? Something like that. And I don't know if that's true or not, but it's an interesting statistic.
A real craft.
Why would you go to trade school?
Please go to trade school. Please do not end up. And I talk about this on stage the whole time. And I'm on the universities. I did 2 universities this year. Please, if you do not know what you want to do not go spend a ton of money putting yourself in debt to go into society already having debts that you need to pay off to make $25,000 a year in a career path that you didn't even know that you wanted to take.
Why would a 4-year degree earner make $25,000 a year?
Destiny. Like, and by the way, I am. Thank you for saying she's right, Destiny. I am so right. Please go to trade school and don't listen to this and listen to me, because I bought into this rhetoric because I was in high school, and it's gonna be great. You're gonna go and you're gonna take a blah blah blah, and then when you get out in the real world, it's gonna be great. You're gonna have better positions. And you're gonna make more money. It is a lie.
What did you go to school for?
I don't care what website he is looking on, like to tell you that is a lie. The overwhelming majority of people, and I'm so glad people in the chat are saying that I am right, because the overwhelming amount of people are shocked when the real world then smacks them in the face, and that lie, that dream that was sold to you by your guidance counselors in high school, that's going to be so great and you're going to be able to make more money, and you just start to realize that it is absolutely crap. And I really would like to say, do not disrespect people that go to trade school, because I just thought that was just...
So I'm gonna push back on Candace here just a little bit, right? Because I want to, you know, I want to be equitable, right? If I believe something, I'm going to say it. If I don't believe it, I'm going to say it. So, and she did put in this little, you know, tidbit. She said, if you know what you want to do, then college is for you, right? And I agree with that for the most part. Like, if you're going to go to college on some willy-nilly degree that doesn't mean anything and you can't actually make money off of, then it's probably not the way to go, right? Because you got to think about the pros and cons, cost-benefit analysis, right? And I don't know what gender studies, if that's a real degree. I know there are classes, but I don't know if you can get a degree in gender studies. But if you do, I don't know what that does. Maybe you become an inclusion manager, and how many of those do they need, right? I have no idea. But if you're going to be, you know, a doctor, a lawyer, you're going to, you know, any kind of like computer-based technician or engineer or something like that, right? Where they require these degrees in order to be in those occupations, and those occupations financially produce what it is that you know what I mean? If the gap is so wide that it doesn't make sense, why do it? You know what I'm saying? Because you can go into the trade schools, you can pay a fraction of the cost, you can get out and you can start earning money right away. You know what I mean? Get your journeymans or whatever it is, right? Start working under a company. You know, if you got the skills, you got the time and energy, then you can build your own companies, right? Like human beings are going to need air conditioning forever. You know what I'm saying? Human beings are going to need plumbing forever, right? Like these are things that are never going to ever going to go away for the most part. So so but with the college thing, like you have to go if you want to be a professional, like in that kind of sense, you know what I mean? Like, but if you're gonna just go for 3 years and you're gonna drop out, or you're gonna go and you're gonna get a major, you know, a psych major or something like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, these things, you have to really plan out what it's going to be. And guidance counselors don't really go into that, right? That's what she's saying, I guess. That, I mean, she says, oh, it's going to be peaches and rainbows. Did they tell you that? I don't remember that necessarily. But what I did remember hearing all the time is you got to go to college, you got to get a degree in order to get a good job. That is like step A4 and Z or something. You know what I mean? It's like they're leaving out so much when they say that. It's like, no, you can go to college, and you probably should go to college if you want a degree that's within any of these majors, because the degree is necessary. And when you get done and you're able to work in that position, then the money that you'll make will allow you to return, you know, to will allow for that return on investment. You know what I mean? And they don't say that, right? So.
So, trade school. What are you talking about?
It's just like
why are we virtue signaling on this? Because you shouldn't go to trade school, because if you go to college, you make more money.
That's not true. It's just not true.
What do you mean it's not true?
That's not true. You can, quite literally, you can be the person that goes to trade school and you will make so much money doing jobs that actually bring value to society.
Computer programmers don't bring value to the society. Mechanical engineers don't bring value to society.
If you want to be a mechanical engineer, yes. But if you know what you want to do and you know you want to be a chemical engineer, I'm not saying nobody should go to college. I'm saying too many people are going to college. They are putting themselves in debt for things that they don't even know what they want to do, and they get out into the world and they can't make any money, and it is a struggle, and they are suffering. I'm watching these girls. I know that people on the right like to mock these girls who are crying on TikTok, who are saying, like, you know, I got to college and here's how no money that I can make. I didn't know this. I actually feel bad for those girls, because we have to just stop lying to people about what college is. It's been
and this was my thing. I'm starting to get away from this perspective, but I used to believe that everybody should go in the military after they get out of high school. Like, that's the first thing you should do. Is you get out of high school, you go into the military, you serve for 4 years or 5 years, whatever. You know, you need enough to do the education, and then you need to be able to work a job, right? And the reason why is because when you get out of high school, you really don't have any purpose, you know. And maybe you had like a dream to do this or to do that, you know what I'm saying? And you make really dumb decisions, right? But if you went into the military, and I'm not saying that I believe this anymore, because I believe our military has issues now, and it's getting worse and worse. So, but that's a whole nother discussion, right? But if you were to go in the military is going to feed you, clothe you, put you in a position, move you to an area, give you a paycheck, right? They're going to give you a skill, they're going to educate you, and then they're going to put you to work, right? And there's a framework in which you have to operate, right? So if you have that framework, then it keeps you on, no, I don't want to say the good path, right? But it keeps you within this structure, so that you can learn credit cards, learn to pay bills, learn to manage your time, learn to interact with people, learn trades, you know, think about the things that you want to do for a lifetime, understand what it means to do something and earn a wage, you know, for doing that work, right? And a lot of people, they go through the military and they still don't know what they want to be when they get out. You know, but I'm not saying that it's perfect, and maybe there's some change that has to be made there is change that has to be made there. But the point is like it would create structure, and it would make it so that when you got done after that 4 or 5 years, after that, you could go to college, right? Because now you understand bills, you understand paying your bills, you understand how money works, you understand value added, you know, value propositions, right? And what it's worth. You've been in a trade for a while, you've been in a certain environment where you've learned certain things, you've learned different occupations, you probably have a better understanding of what it is that you want to do professionally, because now you've tried a couple things, right? It would just end, it gives you, again, it gives you that framework in which to operate in, right? because when you go from school, it's like you go from high school where you're in like you're in a framework, right? Your parents' framework, they're taking care of you, and you're just going to school. All right, 12th grade, you graduate. Boom. Now all of a sudden they pay for college. You get sent away, and now you're expected to operate on your own, doing not only these classes, but then living life, right? Living social life with no framework, navigating a professional life, you know, if you have to work a job or do whatever, you know what I mean? Like, and you're kind of forced into this situation where you're just like, oh, I'm trying to do whatever I got to do to pay these bills, you know, and to get to class because I need to get this done. And it's very, it's like you know, if you have all the resources in the world, then it's much easier for you, right? And if you have no resources, then you're screwed, you know what I mean? But if everybody did the military thing and then got out of the military and then went to school, everybody would be mentally on more of the same playing field. At least that's how I feel about it. Now, do I believe that the military is the answer for everyone? Nope. And do I believe that the military currently is what it used to be? Absolutely not. So that's that.
Inflated.
When you look at like black community stuff, isn't in the black community, isn't one of the reasons why women are starting to out earn black men is because they're going to school and they're going to college and they're actually getting degrees and they're getting real careers? Isn't that one of the biggest contributing factors? I
don't know that.
Okay. Okay. Final question.
I don't know if that was Candace being disingenuous or not, because, and again, or maybe it's because Destiny kind of conflated things, because black women are the most enrolled demographic, right? Like they're getting the most education. They're the ones who are in the schools the most, who are not necessarily that they're graduating and getting the most degrees. That may be true. I don't know exactly, but they're definitely the most enrolled.
I think, by the way, women, by the way, all across the board are graduating at higher rates than men. Mm-hmm. But I do want to say, because I do want to make a point about what you do.
Yeah, it's because men aren't going to college. Just remember that. It's not like the same amount of men and the same amount of women are going to college and women are just graduating more than men, right? There's a disproportionate amount of black women or women in general who are going to college, right, over men. A lot of men aren't going to college because they're not seeing the value. And then the men who are going to college, there's a large percentage of them who don't finish, right, because they just see that it's fucked up. It's hostile. You know, they go into classes where basically they're told to sit down and shut up, right? And their opinion doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Most of this stuff is gynocentric focused, right? Like, and, you know, and they just, you know, they're a ATM, their money, their pocket change, right? For the university.
Because I did see that you did a video and you were like taking the side of hoes. Like you saw this Candace.
Did she say selfish bitch? I must have misheard.
It's a selfish should mention not marry her.
Holy. Oh, I'm gonna get triggered. I feel like I might lose my mind this episode. I agree that these people can be cringe sometimes, but you're saying she's a narcissistic.
I don't remember which episode that was, but I feel like the girl was walking off. And that's why Candace said that. Maybe, I don't know.
Today are very low value.
I'm not bashing. Hold on, I'm not bashing. The women are low value, that they're gonna have worse relationships and lives, and they're gonna be unhappy. But I'm not bashing them.
Absolutely fascinating to see how someone's mind can be so warped. You know, in the same way that I think it's fascinating.
It's fat, bro.
I've been respectful in listening to, you know, your lifestyle.
No, you're not respectful. I'm actually
sitting down with hoes on the whatever podcast, and you
were being so rude to that lady that made the TikTok. Oh my god.
Okay. But the point is that you then went through
called her a bitch.
You then went through this video and just tried to justify these lifestyles, right?
I don't think I was trying to justify the lifestyle. What I was doing was I was fighting it back against the insane judgment from one side to the other. We live in America. People should be able to live the lifestyles they want. As long as they're not harming other people, I think everybody has the right to pursue that.
And I just want to say to people that are watching this, to anybody that you follow, literally, you should take a measure and really ask yourself whether or not that person is telling you that stuff because they believe it, or whether or not that person is telling you something that ultimately it feels good because then it means that you can remove yourself from responsibility. Oh, I see. Yeah, it's fine. I can be a hoe, whatever, but is going to lead you to misery, right? And so I tell people, you know, I've seen a lot. I've been through a lot. I've lived through a lot. Very proud of myself where I've ended up. And I'm trying to provide people the shortcuts. And I'm trying to tell you that, yes, I understand that as a young woman, if you jump onto OnlyFans, you can make money. And you can make money very quickly. But I am also telling you that if you do that, you will the overwhelming majority of people, can you find an exception? Sure, will regret that sort of a lifestyle.
I think I'd probably agree with you.
And to these young people that are listening to you doing the like, YOLO, if it makes you happy, don't. I am telling you, like, throw this out. It is trash. Like,
I agree. You shouldn't do OnlyFans as a young person.
You should not be aspiring to
you shouldn't do OnlyFans as a young person.
relationships.
You should go to college and get a degree instead.
Somebody that's just holding up a mirror to tell you that you're great and you're doing amazing. Like, you don't need that. Mm-hmm. You're not great. You can do better, right? Your life is worth more. There are rules that work. College is every single person that I went to school with is not using the degrees that they paid for.
What did you go to college for?
Journalism.
Isn't that what you're doing right now?
What do you mean?
Like journalism stuff?
You probably don't know my backstory. So because my family was poor, I had to take out loans to go to school. My mom didn't even graduate high school. So
wait, why? If your family's poor, why would you have to take out loans to go to school?
What? I just told you.
If your family's poor, why would you have to take out loans to go to school?
Why would I have to take out loans to go to...
This is where Destiny loses her, right? Because it doesn't make any sense, okay? If you don't have any money, all right, I'm just going to say this. If you don't have any money, you got to take out loans to go to college. They're not just giving away 100% finance college degrees. Are there grants? Are there Pell Grants? Are there various things that you can apply for where you're going to get scholarships and that kind of stuff? Yes, this stuff exists. But unless you're getting a full ride scholarship from somewhere for being an athlete or a music major or something like that, right? You're going to have to apply for not just grants, but loans, right? Everybody I know who's been to college has had to take out student loans. These are a thing that most people have to do. Very few people just have their college just paid for 100%, right? You might have to take out a lot of student loans depending on what your situation. Maybe it's a little bit. I had the VA benefit when I went to school, which means I was in the military. The military, I paid into it. And so when I got out, a certain amount of my school was paid for. Not all of it, right? It could have been all of it had I gone to some online college or, paid less or whatever. I didn't even go to anything better. I went to community college, you know what I mean? And then, continued on to anyways. So my point is, like, I just get so frustrated, if you've ever been to college, right? Like standard universities cost a bunch of money. Community colleges cost a bunch of money. Education costs money. Some of it can get paid for. Not all of it can get paid for. And so I don't understand. Maybe this is his privilege is showing. I don't really get why he doesn't understand that she would have student loans, right? And it gets upsetting to her.
What do you mean? I have to take out loans my family can't afford to pay to put me through school.
Hold on. Was your family actually poor, or did you just lie?
What are you talking about?
If you go to school and your family has a low gross income, you fill out the FAFSA, and the FAFSA is going to award you a ton of federal aid, assuming that you don't actually have the gross income for you.
What do you think a ton of federal aid is? What exactly is a ton of federal aid? It might be a few $1,000s a semester. You know what I mean? Maybe $7,000, $8,000 a year or whatever. You know what I'm saying? She just told you her out-of-state tuition was, $28,000. FAFSA is not paying $28,000 for a year for tuition.
Your parents actually go to...
Never mind. I don't know if she had dorms, books, you know what I mean? Like, all these things cost money, right?
School. So if your parents are super poor, I don't know why you had to pay full out-of-state tuition to go to a university.
I did. Do you think... What do you mean, did I lie?
I don't know how, if your parents are poor, if they have a low gross income, how do you not qualify for the FAFSA?
Okay, well, all I can say to you is that I had to pay $35, almost... My school cost more, and by the end of it, and I'm also including because then I defaulted on my student loans and I had to pay it back, so now I had to pay back the bank for not being able to pay them on time.
Something doesn't match up here.
Okay, well, I'm telling you the truth.
You don't match up. What she's telling you is the experience of most American people, man. Hey, and bravo for you, Candace, for owning up to that shit. Because yes, I know a lot of people have defaulted on their student loans, man. That shit is a bunch of money. And when you get down, assuming you go through college, you get all these student loans, you get your degree, you get done, You don't just all of a sudden get the dope job and now you're making $100K a year. Like that's not what happens unless maybe you're in computers, in which case you're probably making money before you get out of school. But I'm just saying, most people it doesn't happen.
So I don't know what to say.
Did you fill out a FAFSA?
Yeah. Well, I also didn't have parents that could help me fill it out. I was the first.
And again, it's changing. I'm just pointing this out, changing the topic again, right? Moving the
generation college student. My dad.
You didn't have the same school counselor you told these people to ignore. You didn't talk to one of them and said, "Hey, can you help me fill out?"
Like if you're trying to shame me for not.
I'm not trying to shame you. I'm just saying the background doesn't make any sense. I'm not shaming anything.
I'm just like I don't get your point here. Like I'm telling you the truth. I have no reason to lie about this.
My point is, you complained about having $100,000 in debt. You told these people not to talk to counselors, and you said that your family was poor, so you went to school for journalism on an out-of-state tuition. You didn't fill out a FAFSA for any student aid. There's a ton of money there.
I'm just saying, like, what is your point in saying, am I lying about it?
There's not that much money there, man. Like, I can see why she's getting upset, man. And this shows a disconnect. I can't remember the president. I remember the story about this president that went into a grocery store once, and he put up a loaf of bread or something, had no idea, or they asked him how much a gallon of milk was or some shit, and he had no idea how much this stuff cost. That's Destiny's privilege right now, showing that you don't understand that the average person has to fill out a FAFSA, okay, and then they can potentially qualify for some student loans, right? Hopefully they're not in debt already, okay, but yes, they can get some student loans. They can get some Pell grants, right? There are other grants, right? She can probably get the minorities, black women grant or whatever that is, right? That stuff exists. It's not paying for your college 100%, and not even like a lot of it. Not even a lot of it.
Like,
because I don't understand how you came from a poor family and didn't fill out a FAFSA and get a ton of student aid.
I did fill out FAFSA.
And they didn't give you anything?
I maybe got, in terms of I remember getting a Pell Grant that was like $8,000.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
Per year?
I'm telling the truth. So I just want to be clear. I'm telling the truth about my life. Like, I don't know what to.
He's like, per year? Okay. Even if she got, which no, it's not $8,000 per year, but let's say it was, and her out-of-state tuition is $35,000, bro. Where do you think the rest of that comes from? Look at this. Your ignorance is showing, and I'm sorry, man. I'm not trying to like talk shit, but like my viewers, you guys get it, right? You guys get it. College is not cheap. Right.
To say to you, and I don't get why. What was your question of saying, like, why did you take out a loan if you were poor? I don't understand that question. Like, I don't get it.
That's what poor people
because
have
the
to
implication
do.
is that if you filled out a FAFSA, your parents' gross income is used to heavily determine the amount of student aid that you qualify for. And if you're coming from an incredibly poor family, you usually get a ton of student aid.
Well, that's not what happened. Maybe that's circumstance. And please, guys, jump in the chat. Like, if somebody said Destiny, that's stupid. I don't think they just give you free college if you're poor. That's not my experience. Did you go to university? Did you get free money?
I did, and I got some free money, but I had to get married for it because my parents had a high gross income but a lot of debt, so I didn't qualify for the FAFSA. So I had to get married at 19.
I paid back my student loans all by myself, so I could tell you that I spent over 6 figures paying back my student loans to attend the University of Rhode Island, and that is the truth. I mean, and no, I am not lying. My family does not have any money.
Okay.
My parents don't own anything. We don't even have a house. Like, we don't even own, obviously, I don't mean like we're homeless. I meant like as in like my family didn't even own property. So it's like, no, I'm not lying about that. So I don't know what route we were chasing there.
Isn't the issue here then, why would you go? Also, I understand if you have to leave at any time, because he said you had a hard out at 3 and we're at 3:06. So yeah. I don't understand why you would go to an out-of-state school for a journalism degree and then turn around and blame colleges for being bad when it feels like...
I'm not blaming colleges for being bad. I am telling people the truth so that they can avoid making some of the mistakes.
Which is, don't go to an out-of-state school for a degree that might not confer a high amount of money?
I probably should have. Yes, I'm sorry that I was 17 years old and I didn't have parents that were able to provide the economic advising. Of course, that would have been smarter. And my sister, 2 of my sisters went in state, but they still had really heavy loans. So I don't know about this FAFSA magic thing that you think happens. Then my sister paid about $20,000 a year when she went in state. So I just don't know what you're talking about at all with that, because all of my sisters, we all had to pay loans. My older sister just finished off paying her loan. So I don't know. I just don't know what you're talking about, the FAFSA magic button. Maybe if I missed the FAFSA magic button.
The FAFSA magic button. Yes, Destiny, show us all the FAFSA magic button.
We're going to pay for everything, then maybe I am just really stupid and I had no idea that they would just pay for everything.
I'll be honest, maybe it's like a
not...
difference in like areas or people that we talk to, maybe because the high school I went to was like very oriented and trying to get you to college, but when I was going to college, like I think FAFSA stuff was like the most important thing, like student aid.
But I did fill it out. I don't know if it's because my family had multiple children and we were all going to, I don't know what the circumstance is, but I'm just telling you that the truth is that I paid for my college. And I do try to tell people that if you don't know what you want to do, spending tens of thousands of dollars trying to figure that out is probably not the right move. Like you can always go to college. You can go.
You're basically going into debt, tens of thousands of dollars, to learn what you might want to do. And to be completely honest, when I graduated high school, and I had an option. At the time, my mother was going to pay for my college, and but I didn't have the slightest idea what I wanted to do. I've been plugged into computers since computers were first introduced into the home. I had a Commodore 64, I think was my first computer. And then when Windows came out, it was gangbusters from there. My mom's always been computer tech savvy. She's a programmer for government and business, right? Has been involved forever. And so I've always been involved with computers. But I just never wanted to sit behind a cubicle. I never wanted to sit there and just code. And the more I learned about it, the more I didn't like it. I'm sorry. I wish I could, because should I be a network engineer right now? Probably, some architect or whatever that makes $300,000 a year programming for Cisco. I don't know. You know what I mean? Should I be? Yes, I had all the things available to me to do that, but the bottom line is I didn't want to do it. And to go to school and not know what you want to do and then spend a bunch of money on something that you probably don't want to do or going to end up not wanting to do, that's crazy, crazy.
Later, try to figure out what you're good at, get an internship. I hire people that are right out of high school because I don't just believe this. There was a young woman that now works for me who was like, I don't really know what I'm doing here. I kind of just want to be a mom. I was like, do not spend. And her out of tuition rate was $50,000 for a Tennessee school.
Okay.
And so I hired her. I mean, I'm not telling people, like I said, I tell people how I actually live and what I actually believe. And I don't know that you do that. Don't justify women acting like whores.
Well, I don't justify trying to prescribe lifestyles to people.
What?
Don't justify trying to prescribe lifestyles to people.
It's not prescribing a lifestyle.
Of course
it's just,
it is. When somebody said that they would be happy not having kids, you were like, oh, she sounds like a conceited bitch or something.
That's not what she said.
That was the TikTok clip you were responding to.
That was not what she said, and I can tell you exactly what she said.
That she was got to go on
vacations. I said there was absolutely no reason to make a comment that suggests that she was actually being insulting to people that had kids. It wasn't just one video. She makes multiple videos about how great life is if you don't have kids. If I was making videos with my kids saying about how great life is if you just, stop being a loser and get married, people would come after you because people hate the traditional lifestyle on display.
Wait, but that's literally what you guys say. Get married, have kids. That's the only way to go. Otherwise, you're a loser.
No, we do not. You're just making up words that have never come out of my mouth.
So wait, if somebody said, if there was a young woman and she was like, I'm 20, I think I'm going to go to a career and be whatever. I don't think I want to have a family. I don't think life's for me. You would say, okay, well, that's fine. You should make that choice.
No, I would say that's completely normal at 20 years old. That's
wait. So then they should change their opinion later on. What if she was 25 or 30 and she's like, no, I don't think I want to have kids? Would you be, okay, that's fine?
If she was a 20-year-old person and she was saying that I don't think that I want to have kids, then what I would say is that's pretty typical because you're 20 years old and you haven't yet had the biology thing happen to you, which when they say that your biological clock starts ticking, it's very real. When you get into your mid-20s, you have a totally different feeling.
So if a woman is 25 or 30 and says, I don't think I want to have kids, I think I like my career, I'm going to stick with it, you'd say, okay, that's fine. It's your choice.
Yeah, as long as that person isn't trying to, and by the way, I think that person would probably be, it would be unusual. It wouldn't be, the majority of women, I think, do want to have families and want to aspire to family, and that's fine. But when you try to create a brand of it and you say things like, oh, well, if you have kids, then you can't just smoke pot and stay in bed and be naked all day. This is actually something that Seth Rogen just said.
Okay.
What you're doing
Sounds
there is
awesome.
you're actually trying to, you're 30, how old are you? You're 35 years old.
Yep.
Okay, so what is that? What do I
do?
If you were 20 and you were saying this stuff,
I travel the world. I get to research and talk about whatever I want. I get to talk to cool people like you and other people. I live in Miami in a high rise for $5,000 a month. I mean, I think my life is pretty okay. I mean,
But I'm saying, what are you doing when you're trying to sell to people that, you know, being a hoe is cool, smoking pot, saying
I don't necessarily think that being a hoe is cool.
Are you going to age out of that?
You're a
35-year-old man, right? Like, you know, and you're kind of doing the, like, I'm a college dorm kid and I'm trying to make everything sound cool. But I just want to point out the fact that you're a 35-year-old man and your words should matter and they should have weight. Like I said, if you were 20, I'd be like, I get it. When you're 35, you know, say things with conviction. Say things that have meaning.
Plenty of things with conviction, yes.
You know, and
like when I asked you, what would you recommend to a woman at 25 and 30? I didn't just start rambling about what a 20-year-old should do and how biologically blah, 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 blah. I would say exactly what I would tell a woman at 25 or 30.
Yeah, I know, but your behavior, and I will appreciate that people that are younger won't understand what I'm saying until you hit 35, which is, I'm going to be 35 this year.
Okay.
You're acting like you're a college dorm kid.
Yeah, and your catty insults towards people online make you seem like a high school mean girl.
Okay.
I mean, like, what do you mean? Like, we all have our things.
But you're selling to them things that you know aren't good. So
what do you think I'm selling to them?
If you were a 25-year-old, like when I'm on the Whatever podcast and I'm surrounded by women that are in their 20s and they're saying, like, you know, the whole life is good. The reason why I said to that girl that I'm going to pray for you is because I know that she's going to have a different perspective when she's older. So I'm not upset by that. I don't feel like that needs to be attacked when that young.
And quite frankly, it's not even about, like, it is about her perception, right, of reality and what her perspective, how it changes as you get older. But the problem is the decisions that you make when you're in your early 20s or whatever, you know, your younger life or whatever, drastically affect the way that the rest of your life is going to go. And, you know, we all, at least from what I remember as a child, I always remember, oh, there's time. There's going to be time to do this. There's going to be time to do that, time to learn this, time to learn that, or do whatever, right? Like, I always thought there's going to be time. And in the end, there's not. The time is now. You know, the time that you're living is now to set yourself up for the later years. It's not like the later years you have the ability to wash away all the mistakes that you did before that and take it from here. No, it's you got to prepare for these things, right?
And when those young girls are around me and we're talking about all of these topics, when I'm sitting with a 35-year-old man, okay, and
what do you think I'm selling people?
And you know better, okay?
Wait, what do you think I'm selling people?
Well,
do you think I'm telling people to be a hoe?
What I said when you were defending the lifestyle of being a hoe, why are you doing that?
I don't think I defend the lifestyle of being a hoe.
You did. You did a whole video basically saying that none of my points of me trying to tell these women that they, essentially, you can do something better. You don't have to sell your body. This was your, like, snazzy video comeback to it. Why are you making a comeback? Yes, you can make a video and be like, why can't someone do heroin? But why would you as a 35-year-old man want to sell something to someone or make it seem okay or cool or relevant when you know it's harmful to them? I don't get that because of your age.
So I don't understand. I don't know what your takeaway from the video was, or if there are researchers that give you, like, talking points to my videos. But generally what I talk about is when it comes to lifestyle, you have to analyze both sides of things. If you grow up incredibly religiously conservative and you are, like, shamed out of sex and you don't have sex with anybody your whole life because you're super, you know, hyper cognizant of your virginity and all of these, like, weird things, and that's, like, coming from an unhealthy external place, to say, oh, well, maybe that's worth exploring. On the flip side, if you grow up, like, hyper liberal and you fuck, like, 20 guys by the time you're, you know, 20 years old and you just want to bang everybody and you've got, like, weird associations with men and everything, I'd say, hey, you should probably slow down. It's probably not healthy. I just encourage people to, like, explore, honestly, to have, like, conversations with themselves, with their parents, could be with priests, could be with therapists, could be whatever, and to kind of figure out, like, what works for them and don't get pushed into one direction from a culture side. It could be the left encouraging people to be way too promiscuous, or it could be the right for people that are shaming people for being promiscuous and saying, like, well, this one lifestyle of family stuff is going to biologically be suited towards you as you get older. I think both of these are equally stupid because it just pushes people in the other direction.
So you don't believe in anything? Is what you're saying.
Is that what you got from that?
Well, you're not committing to anything.
I believe in actually thinking for yourself. That's what I think. I think that every human being roughly exists in this, like, paradigm where if you fuck 100 people by the time you're 20, probably not healthy. If you've never had sex before and you're 30, probably not healthy. And that you should probably, like, try to gravitate towards what are, like, human norms, and then what are things that make you happy, depending on your culture, depending on your geography. And then you kind of, like, explore in there. And don't be shamed out of exploring from one side to the other. Don't be pushed into something because somebody like Candace Owens or somebody like Stephen Bunnell tells you that you have to do a particular thing, but just, like, kind of explore.
I don't tell people that they have to do a particular thing, but if I see somebody that's doing heroin, I'm not going to be like, you know, it is whatever, and it's just like whatever. You're just,
do you think that heroin is comparable to recreational sex?
I am. Quite frankly, I actually think a woman, as the one that I sat across from when you were critiquing this video, who says that she slept with up to, what was it, 20 men per night? Yeah, it's just as bad. and I know that has to be hurting her soul. So I look at her as a human being.
Hurting her soul? What if she just has a different lifestyle than you?
Doesn't.
Completely. No, she does. You know?
No, what do you mean? You know, she's telling you. She was very honest, actually, and that's why I appreciate her, because she was very honest that for her it is just about money. Okay, but when I see that individual, when a young woman is saying that she'll sleep and see up to 10 to 20 clients per night, that's a broken individual. And it's just as when you see somebody who says that, you know, they're doing heroin or doing this, they don't need the cool guy at the party to be like, yeah, man, it's whatever. Like, it's like, no, you actually like structure. You need somebody to say to you, you don't have to do this. There's so much better potential within you. You are young. You have your entire life ahead of you. Let's figure out what it is that you're great at. I understand the economic concerns. It's a really tough economy and it's easy money, but there's other things that you can do to make money that will give you better self-value. And so that's why I say that I think that what you're doing as a 35-year-old man is you're lying. You're just lying to people.
Do you think I'm telling women on average that fucking 20 guys a night is a good idea?
When you make videos and you're replying to conservatives who are rightfully saying that this lifestyle is not good, which should be abundantly clear to every single person, yeah, what you're trying to do is lie in a clever way. And ultimately, like I said, if you were 20, I'd be fine with it.
But when First of all, I don't know why if I was 20, why that would make you fine with it.
Because
you'd have the same influence in your audience regardless.
Because your brain's not developed.
Yeah, exactly. She's not holding you to that standard because you're a 20-year-old boy, right? But when you're a 35-year-old man with a 13-year-old kid or whatever, bruh, like, come on.
When you're 20.
Number two, so what? Your brain's always developing as you grow.
No, your brain develops when you're 25, 26 years old. And so when you see a 20-year-old and they have a bunch of positions, I don't hold them to it. I don't think that's with brain development.
I think that's with life experience. I think as you grow older,
but like literally factually, I know if you want to Google this, but your brain develops when you're 25, 26.
If you really want to Google it factually, the 25 number came from one study that was done like 30 years ago where they only measured brain development up to 25. And the reality is the plasticity of your brain and every other structure of your brain continues to grow into your 30s. That's technically where that number comes from. It's not true. You can look it up later if you want. The 25, 26 thing is a misnomer. It's not actually true.
Well, like I said, if you were 20, sure, I would accept, but there is such a thing as objective truth, and people that shirk and pretend that there's not, and like objective everybody can just do whatever they want. Live your life? It's about things that are harmful to people. Like objectively speaking.
So I'm curious, what is the upper bounds on recreational sex that you think is harmful or not harmful?
When you're selling your body and sleeping with old.
I'm not asking that. I'm just saying, what is the upper bounds on recreational sex that you think is like healthy for a human being? If you go past this, you're like clearly over the line.
I'm not going to say to a person, this is a number that you should sleep.
Yeah, what the hell? Why are you trying to like put a hard line on this, man? You know what the argument is, dude. Like, it's very apparent when you listen to some of these stories. Either you're insane or you're not, right? Either there's a problem or there's not. And we all know. Come on, man.
Sleep with, and this makes you bad.
Don't accuse me of believing in nothing. I'm not saying out of position where you only attack the most extreme
talking about
people.
The whatever podcast.
I'm going to attack the same people that you do. If some woman is on saying like, oh, you can fuck 20 guys a night and do OnlyFans when you're 18, I'm going to say, in general, that's a pretty wacky, that's a pretty out there position. I argue with tons of people over this. I don't encourage people to start
OnlyFans. What are you trying to do? What purpose are you trying to fulfill? When you, as a 35-year-old man, see me sitting down with these young women trying to say, you don't need to do this, you don't have to do this for money, and you like attack it and try to be like, Candace is just a bitch, or like whatever, like she's blah, 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 she's just being a high school mean girl. It's like, no, I am trying to tell these women that they are worth more. And when I said to that girl at the end of it, which I don't believe you showed, that I will pray for you and that you can do much more than this, that came from the heart, actually.
No, that is the most condescending thing a religious person can say to a non-religious person. I will pray for you.
Okay, you can deal with your, I know that you went to a Jesuit school and you got some issues with somebody.
Why do you think I have issues?
But I meant that because...
I loved my high school. I think it's fine.
Because for me to say, like, I meant what I said to her, that I would pray for her. Like, when she was describing
my life,
she was very upfront. Why do you need to tell her that
you'll pray for her?
Because I did pray for her.
Then do it privately. Why do you need to tell her that? You're only telling her that because you think you've got such a condescension about you. You've got such an air of superiority that you're going to pray for her.
Air of superiority? Because I said I would... God forbid someone says they'll pray. That's obviously an air of superiority because they're saying they're going to include you in their prayers.
If somebody's on some fucked up life path or whatever the hell, and you say, hey, look, man, you're in our thoughts, you know what I mean? Like, that's not condescension, bro, right? The fact of the matter is she believes in her God and she's asking her God to help this woman. How is that condescending?
Well, I mean, like, when you say
something that my
God forbid, but like, quite literally, God forbid. Isn't there a whole story of a lady going to a temple and quietly putting like 2 per cents or whatever the fuck into the tray?
Versus the guy that rhetoric.
What is anti-Christian about this?
If you say, I'll pray for you, it's obviously you trying to be better. It's like, no, why are you even reacting to that? I'll pray for you. I'll pray for everybody that listens and watches this show. When people say that they're going to pray for you, they actually mean it, you guys. They just mean it. There's no double entendre thing going on there. And anybody that can go back and watch that clip, you will see that I was not speaking above her. I actually genuinely responded to that girl because she was so honest and she was so forthcoming. I thought I actually wanted to do more stuff with her, and we tried to reach out with her because she wasn't trying to lie or trying to pretend like her lifestyle was for health. She was clear that it was for money, and she was like, I'm not going to lie, this is why I do this. And I genuinely prayed for her. Actually, we were not enemies that were sitting across the table. So no, it was not condescending when I started praying for you. It was a fact. When I left, I said, I will keep you in my prayers because I have in my heart, I want to see that girl in 10 years and know that she left that field and she is able to speak to women that are still within it and think that they have to sell their bodies for money and sleep with 10 men per night. I am going to continue to pray for that young woman because we need people who transform their lives to then show people that they can transform their lives. And it's not condescending to pray for anybody ever. So
okay, I will pray for you too then. Okay.
You should.
Okay.
I hope you pray for me. I want you to include me in your prayers. I want every person watching this to include. But I feel like our society has gotten so like anti-Christian. Like, oh my God, they're trying to be condescending. It's like, no, like I'll pray for you. I will literally pray for every single person that I think needs a prayer. And I felt like she needed a prayer. Like she could be there, you know?
Okay.
And you should watch it. Her and I had there was no beef between her and I.
Well, you're telling me I did watch it and I responded to it. So I remember watching and responding to you. It was going over the TikTok clip. I don't remember.
Praying is cool, you guys. Just so you know, it's super dope to pray.
Yeah. Telling other people you pray.
I'll pray for you.
A little bit cringe.
Look at that. But it's not cringe. There's nothing cringe about being a Christian. It's actually
never said there was anything cringe about being a Christian. Never said that at all.
The dopest thing you can do is pray in public. You know, talk about your faith and your Christianity. There's nothing cringe about being a Christian. There's nothing cringe about praying for others. There's nothing cringe about getting on your knees and praying to God when things are wrong in your life. Yes. And so that culture needs to come back.
Yeah,
and
I think that's totally
everything
fine.
that's going wrong in this society is by people being like told that praying. No, there's nothing constant about it. It's dope. It's cool.
I don't know about that.
This is the new wave.
Well, listen, I disagree with everything you say. I think you're harmful to America. You think I'm harmful. That's fine.
No,
I
didn't say you're harmful to America. I just said that it is harmful when you do things like that. You know, when you know something's wrong and you still try to like find a way out. And gotcha. I just think that we can all acknowledge that selling your body is not a good thing, and we should encourage people to do it. Okay. If people want to find you, or if you want to direct them to anything that you're working on, where would they? Listen, if you are a super not Candace Owens fan, if you're like the biggest non-Candace Owens fan, I really challenge you to not believe the headlines that you've read and just watch one episode of my show. You don't have to commit to anything. Just watch one episode and actually listen to what I say out of my mouth and not how it's being interpreted by other people. And I know I've gotten so many emails from people saying that like they changed their lives because just so you know, I am not better than you. Like I say on my show the whole time, I drank with the best of them. I took the most liberal route to conservatism that there ever was. So I'm not better than anybody that I speak to. I'm speaking from the heart and trying to get people to avoid certain traps that, you know, I wish that I would have been able to avoid in my life. And we can have disagreements, but I think if you check out my channel on YouTube, check out the podcast, listen to one episode, you're probably going to be able to very quickly determine and see where my heart's at. Okay. Candace Owens on YouTube. Thanks. And
yeah, so I just don't even know what to say about Destiny sometimes. Like, I feel like he just went blah, 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 blah. Like, he just skips through these topics and doesn't really allow himself to his mind's not going to be changed. He has his positions for whatever reason, what they are. Probably, you know, I'm assuming because he's got a large fan base and he's not trying to, you know, poke the bear, right? But when he loses an argument, it's on to the next one that quick. And it reminds me of, you know, of some women that I've been with. I'm not going to say who, but it reminds me of some women that I know. That as soon as they're losing an argument, it goes right to the next thing, right? And it's like, whoa. Can we acknowledge that this is happening? Oh, you guys. Anyways, Candace Owens, Destiny. Yo, this is Chill with Bill. Hit the subscribe button, man. I appreciate you guys. Take it easy. Peace.